All this for one night in someone else's bed.
The phone rang at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, and I knew my life was about to change forever. Hospital calls at midnight never bring good news, especially when your 19-year-old son's name is attached to them. Mr. Patterson, this is Dr. Martinez at Riverside General. Your son Jake has been admitted with serious injuries. You need to come immediately. I dropped my wrench. Oil from the Chevy's undercarriage dripped onto the garage floor as I scrambled for my keys. 23 years as a mechanical engineer had taught me that when systems fail, they fail catastrophically. I just never thought my family would be the system. The drive to the hospital blurred past in a haze of red lights and panic. My wife, Linda, should have been with me, but she'd been working late again at the law firm, third time this week. At 45, she'd become obsessed with making partner, staying at the office until all hours with her boss, Richard Blackwood. I burst through the ER doors like a man possessed. Jake Patterson, I gasped to the nurse. My son. She led me down a sterile hallway that smelled of disinfectant and despair. Jake lay in bed 3, his left leg elevated in traction, his face a canvas of bruises that made my stomach lurch. Dad! His voice cracked like it hadn't since he was 12. Jesus, Jake, what happened? He looked away, then back at me with eyes that held too much knowledge for 19 years. I went home early from practice. Wanted to surprise you and Mom with my grades. A cold feeling crept through me. I walked in and heard noises upstairs. Thought maybe you guys were... He swallowed hard, but your truck wasn't there, so I went up to check. The machines around his bed beeped steadily, counting down to a truth I wasn't ready to hear. I found Mom with Mr. Blackwood. In your bed, Dad. In the bed that belongs to you. The words hit me like a sledgehammer to the chest. 22 years of marriage. 22 years of thinking I knew the woman who shared my name, my home, my life. I started yelling, Jake continued, his voice getting stronger with anger. Told him to get out. That's when his security guys showed up. Security guys? 2 big guys in suits. They said I was trespassing and needed to leave. When I refused, He gestured at his leg. They threw me down the stairs, Dad. Said if I told anyone, they'd finish the job. The rage that filled me then was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. It started in my gut and spread through my veins like molten steel. My hands shook as I gripped the bed rail. Where are they now? Probably still at the house. Dad, I'm sorry. I should have... You did nothing wrong. My voice came out steady, controlled, dangerous. Nothing at all. I kissed his forehead and walked out of that hospital a different man than the one who'd walked in. The drive home took 12 minutes. 12 minutes to plan what I was going to do to the people who destroyed my family. My house looked the same from the outside. Same white picket fence I'd painted last spring. Same rose bushes Linda had planted for our anniversary. Same mailbox that said The Pattersons in cheerful blue letters. But everything was different now. I parked across the street and sat in my truck for a moment, watching. The lights were on upstairs. Richard's silver BMW sat in my driveway like a middle finger pointed directly at my heart. I'd known Richard Blackwood for 3 years, ever since Linda started working at Morrison, Blackwood, and Associates. He was everything I wasn't. Tall, polished, rich. He drove luxury cars and wore suits that cost more than my monthly mortgage. I'd always felt like a grease monkey next to him at firm parties. Now I understood why. I opened my glove compartment and pulled out the .38 I'd inherited from my father. Unloaded, but they wouldn't know that. Sometimes the threat of violence is more powerful than violence itself. The front door was unlocked. Of course it was. Why would they bother locking it? They owned everything now. My house, my wife, my dignity. I could hear voices from upstairs. Linda's laugh, breathy and satisfied in a way I hadn't heard in years. The sound made my teeth clench. I took the stairs 2 at a time, my boots heavy on the hardwood. The bedroom door was open. They hadn't even bothered to close it. Linda saw me first. She was sitting up in my bed, sheet pulled to her chest, her dark hair tousled. Her face went white when she saw the tool in my hand. Tom, I can explain. Shut up. Richard Blackwood rolled over lazily like he had all the time in the world. Even caught in bed with another man's wife, he looked smug. Tom, let's discuss this like civilized adults. Civilized? I laughed, and it sounded harsh in the quiet room. You broke my son's leg, you piece of crap. That was a misunderstanding. Jake became violent. He's 19 years old. I stepped closer to the bed, and Richard finally showed some fear. He reached for his phone on the nightstand. I wouldn't. I raised the tool. Where are your boys? Downstairs, Linda whispered. Tom, please, let me explain. 22 years. My voice was steady now, cold. 22 years I've been faithful to you. Worked 60-hour weeks to pay for this house, for your law school, for everything you wanted. And this is how you repay me? You don't understand, she said, tears starting to flow. Richard and I, we have something special, something you and I never had. That hurt worse than finding them together. The casual dismissal of 2 decades of marriage reduced to something we never had. Get dressed, both of you, and get out of my house. Richard was already reaching for his pants. Tom, I think we should discuss compensation. Compensation? The word came out like a growl. For what? For sleeping with my wife in my bed while your thugs put my son in the hospital? Now see here. I pulled the trigger and sent a round into the ceiling. Plaster rained down on the bed. Linda screamed, I said get out! They dressed quickly, stumbling over each other in their haste. Richard kept his mouth shut now, all his polished confidence gone. Linda tried to grab some of her things, but I stopped her. Leave it all. You don't deserve to take anything from this house. As they headed for the door, I called after them. This isn't over, not even close. Richard turned back, some of his arrogance returning now that he was dressed and heading for safety. Tom, I understand you're upset, but if you threaten me again, I'll have to involve the police. I smiled, and it must have been a terrible thing to see because he actually stepped back. Go ahead, call them. Tell them how you and your security team attacked my son. I'm sure they'd love to hear that story. They left without another word. I spent the rest of the night sitting in my kitchen, drinking coffee and planning. By dawn, I'd filled 3 pages of a legal pad with notes, phone numbers, and a timeline that would make Linda's law school professors proud. The first call came at 7 a.m. Linda. Tom, we need to talk. No, we don't. I'm coming over to get my things. Like heck you are. It's my house too. I have rights. I laughed. Rights? You gave up your rights when you decided to sleep with your boss in our marriage bed. Don't be crude. Crude, lady, I haven't even started being crude yet. I hung up and unplugged the phone. The second call came on my cell at 8:30, my daughter Jessica calling from her apartment across town. Dad, Mom called me crying. She said you threatened her with a tool? Jessica was 21, a senior at the local university studying communications. She'd always been closer to Linda than to me, drawn to her mother's sophistication and social connections. I was just the guy who paid the bills. Your mother was in bed with her boss when your brother came home last night. Richard's security team broke Jake's leg and put him in the hospital. Silence on the other end. Jess, you still there? I don't understand. Mom wouldn't. Your mother would and did. Jake's at Riverside General if you want to see the proof. This is insane. There has to be an explanation. There is. Your mother's a cheating hoe who chose Johnson over family. Dad? Truth hurts, doesn't it? She hung up. The third call came at 10 a.m. My best friend Mike Chen, who ran the auto repair shop where I'd worked part-time on weekends for the past 5 years. Tom, what the heck is going on? Linda called Sarah crying about you going crazy with a tool. Sarah was Mike's wife and Linda's closest friend. They'd been tight since college, doing girls' nights and shopping trips and all that other stuff married women do when they want to pretend they're still 25. Did she mention the part where I found her screwing Richard Blackwood in my bed? Come on, man. Linda wouldn't. Why does everyone keep saying that? Linda wouldn't cheat. Linda wouldn't lie. Linda wouldn't destroy our family. Well, guess what? Linda did. All of it. Look, I'm sure there's more to the story. There is. The more is that her boyfriend's thugs put my son in the hospital. Tom, you're not thinking straight. Maybe you should talk to someone. I'm thinking perfectly straight for the first time in years. I hung up on him, too. By noon, I'd gotten 6 more calls from various friends and neighbors, all with the same message. Linda was telling everyone I'd lost my mind, threatened her with a tool, and was having some kind of breakdown. She was controlling the narrative, just like the lawyer she was. That's when I decided to fight fire with fire. I drove to the hospital to check on Jake. He was sitting up in bed, looking better, but still angry as heck. How you feeling, son? Like I want to end someone. The doctors say I'll be on crutches for 6 weeks, maybe longer. We're going to make them pay for this. How? Mom's already been here crying about how you threatened her. She's got everyone believing you're the bad guy. I sat down in the uncomfortable hospital chair. Jake, I need you to tell me exactly what happened last night. Every detail. He walked me through it again, how he'd come home early from baseball practice, how he'd heard noises upstairs and gone to investigate, how he'd found them together and started yelling, how two men in suits had appeared and told him to leave. They said they were security consultants, Jake said. Big guys, looked like ex-cops or something. When I refused to go, they grabbed me and threw me down the stairs. Then they stood over me and said if I told anyone what I'd seen, they'd make sure I never played baseball again. You get their names? One of them called the other Marcus. That's all I heard. I made a note. Anything else? Yeah, when they were dragging me out, I heard Mr. Blackwood on the phone. He was talking to someone about cleaning up the mess and making sure there were no loose ends. That sent a chill down my spine. These weren't just random security guards. This was organized. Jake, I need you to do something for me. I need you to write down everything that happened exactly as you told me. Date it, sign it, and have a nurse witness your signature. Why? Because your mother is trying to make me look like the crazy one. We need documentation. After I left the hospital, I drove to my brother's house across town. Danny was a private investigator, retired from the police force after 20 years. If anyone could help me dig up dirt on Richard Blackwood, it was him. Tom, you look like heck, he said, opening the door. Feel like it too? I told him everything. Danny listened without interrupting, making notes in a small pad he always carried. So you want me to investigate Blackwood? I want you to find out everything. His business, his finances, his personal life. I want to know what he had for breakfast and how many times he takes a crap per day. Danny grinned. Now you're talking my language. But Tom, this is going to cost money. Good investigation work isn't cheap. How much? For what you're asking, probably $5,000, maybe more. I thought about the savings account Linda and I shared, the one she probably didn't know I could access online. Do it. And Tom? Be careful. If this guy's got professional security working for him, he's not just some small-time lawyer. There might be more going on here than a simple affair. That night, I sat in my empty house and did something I hadn't done in years. I opened a bottle of whiskey and got drunk. Not falling down drunk, but drunk enough to numb the pain of 22 years of marriage going up in smoke. The house felt different without Linda's things. Bigger, emptier, but also cleaner somehow, like the infection had been removed. Around midnight, my phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number. Stop digging or you'll end up like your son. This is your only warning. I stared at the message for a long time, then poured another drink. Let them come. The next morning brought a knock at my door. I opened it to find Mike and two other guys from our weekly poker game, Steve Morrison and Paul Bradley. They looked uncomfortable, like they were here on business they didn't want to handle. We need to talk, Mike said. I let them in and made coffee. These were guys I'd known for years. Mike and I had been friends since high school. Steve was a contractor who'd helped me build my deck. Paul worked at the bank and had gotten me my mortgage. Tom, Mike started, we're worried about you. Worried how? Sarah talked to Linda yesterday. She's scared, man. Really scared. She should be. That's not helping, Steve said. He was a big guy, used to throwing his weight around on construction sites. Look, we all know marriage is tough. Heck, I've been divorced twice. But threatening your wife with a tool? That's over the line. Did Linda mention why I had the tool? She said you came home drunk and went crazy when you found her working late with her boss. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Working late? Is that what she called it? Tom, Paul said quietly, Linda's been a good friend to all our wives. She helped Sarah with her legal problems last year. She's helped all of us at one time or another. We can't just stand by and watch you destroy her. Destroy her? I stood up, feeling the anger build again. She destroyed our family. She's been screwing Richard Blackwood for God knows how long. And when my son caught them, Blackwood's thugs put him in the hospital. Come on, Steve said. Linda's not like that. She's a class act. A class act who sleeps with her boss in my bed while I'm working late to pay her bills. You're not listening, Mike said, standing up too. We came here as friends trying to help. But if you keep making these accusations, they're not accusations. They're facts. Prove it, Steve challenged. I looked at these three men I'd considered friends for years. Men I'd loaned money to, helped move, celebrated birthdays with, and I realized they'd already chosen sides. Get out, I said quietly. Tom, Mike started. I said get out, all of you. We're trying to help, Paul said. No, you're trying to protect Linda because she's got you all fooled, just like she had me fooled for 22 years. Steve stepped closer, using his size to intimidate. Maybe you should think about getting some help. Professional help. Are you threatening me, Steve? I'm suggesting that a man who threatens his wife with a tool might not be thinking clearly. That's when I lost it. I grabbed Steve by the shirt and slammed him against the wall. Coffee mugs crashed to the floor. My son is in the hospital with a broken leg because he caught his mother cheating. Her boyfriend's security team did that to a 19-year-old kid. And you three a-holes want to lecture me about thinking clearly? Mike and Paul grabbed my arms, trying to pull me off Steve. Tom, let him go. You want proof? I shoved Steve away and grabbed my phone. Call Jake at the hospital. Ask him what happened. Ask him who broke his leg and why. We're not calling anyone, Steve said, straightening his shirt. We're leaving. And Tom, stay away from Linda. Stay away from all our families. You're not welcome anymore. They walked out without another word. I stood in my kitchen, surrounded by broken coffee mugs and the remains of friendships that had lasted decades. In less than 48 hours, I'd lost my wife, my friends, and my place in the community I'd called home for over 20 years. But I wasn't done losing things yet. Danny called 3 days later with his first report. Tom, you need to sit down for this. I was already sitting, nursing my third cup of coffee and my second hangover of the week. Richard Blackwood isn't just a lawyer, Danny said. He's dirty as heck. His firm handles legal work for some very questionable businesses, money laundering probably, maybe worse. What kind of businesses? The kind that need security consultants who aren't afraid to break a college kid's leg. That explained the thugs. There's more, Danny continued. Blackwood's been married 3 times. All 3 wives filed for divorce citing adultery. 2 of them also filed restraining orders. Violent? Not physically, but he's got a pattern of using intimidation and financial pressure to control women. His first wife ended up broke and working as a waitress. His second wife moved out of state and won't talk to anyone about him. What about the third? That's where it gets interesting. Wife number 3, Patricia Blackwood, died in a car accident 6 months after filing for divorce. Single car crash, late at night, no witnesses. A chill ran through me. You think? I don't think anything yet, but I'm looking into it. What else? Blackwood's got money problems, big ones. His firm's been losing clients rapidly, and there are rumors of missing funds from client accounts. Word is, he's desperate. Desperate enough to marry a lawyer with a good reputation? Desperate enough to do whatever it takes to stay out of prison? After Danny hung up, I sat in my kitchen thinking. Linda wasn't just having an affair. She was being used. Maybe she knew it, maybe she didn't, but either way, she'd chosen Richard over her family. That afternoon, I drove to Jessica's apartment. My daughter lived in a trendy complex near the university, the kind of place with a pool and a fitness center that I helped pay for. She answered the door in workout clothes, looking like her mother at that age, beautiful, confident, and currently looking at me like I was something she'd scrape off her shoe. What do you want, Dad? To talk to my daughter? About what? About how you've lost your mind and are stalking Mom? I pushed past her into the apartment. It was decorated with the kind of modern furniture that looked uncomfortable and probably cost a fortune. Jess, sit down, please. I don't want to hear any more of your conspiracy theories. Did you visit your brother in the hospital? That stopped her. She sat down on the edge of her white leather couch. Yes. What did he tell you? He said... She paused, looking confused. He said he caught Mom with Mr. Blackwood. But, Dad, that doesn't mean... It means exactly what it sounds like. Your mother has been having an affair. People make mistakes. This wasn't a mistake. This was a choice. A choice she made every day for months, maybe years. Jessica started crying then, the kind of tears that come when your worldview crumbles. Why are you doing this? Why are you trying to destroy our family? I'm not destroying anything. Your mother already did that. She loves you. No, she doesn't. She hasn't loved me for years. I was just too stupid to see it. I sat down next to her, and for a moment she was my little girl again, the one who used to climb into my lap when she had nightmares. Jess, I know this is hard, but I need you to understand something. Your mother made her choice. She chose Richard Blackwood over our family, and when your brother tried to defend our family, Blackwood's people put him in the hospital. That's not how Mom tells it. How does Mom tell it? She says Jake got violent and they had to defend themselves. I pulled out my phone and showed her the photos I'd taken at the hospital. Jake's bruises, his leg in traction, the medical report that detailed his injuries. Does this look like self-defense to you? Jessica stared at the photos, her face pale. 2 grown men did this to your 19-year-old brother because he had the audacity to object to finding his mother in bed with another man. I can't believe this is happening. It's happening, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. She looked up at me with red, swollen eyes. What are you going to do? I'm going to make them pay, all of them. Dad, please don't do anything crazy. Crazy? I stood up. Jess, what's crazy is that your mother is telling everyone I'm the villain in this story. What's crazy is that my friends are choosing her side without even asking for my side. What's crazy is that a man can work his whole life to build something good and watch it all disappear because his wife decided she needed some excitement. I walked to the door, then turned back. I love you, Jess, but I need you to decide whose side you're on because there are sides now, whether we want them or not. I left her crying on her expensive couch. 2 weeks later, Danny had enough evidence to bury Richard Blackwood and everyone associated with him. Bank records, photographs, witness statements, and most importantly, a connection between Blackwood's security team and the death of his third wife. Tom, this is bigger than we thought, Danny said, spreading files across my kitchen table. Blackwood's been using his law firm to launder money for organized crime. The security team isn't just muscle, they're enforcers. What about Patricia Blackwood? She didn't die in an accident. She was homicide. I've got a witness who saw one of Blackwood's guys tampering with her car the day before the crash. Will the witness testify? For the right price and protection, yeah. I stared at the evidence spread across my table. This was it. This was how I could destroy Richard Blackwood completely. There's something else, Danny said. Linda's in deeper than you think. What do you mean? She's been helping Blackwood move money through client accounts? Either she's complicit or she's being set up to take the fall. Which do you think? Based on what I've seen, she knows exactly what she's doing. That hurt more than the affair. Linda wasn't just cheating on me. She was a criminal. What's the plan? I asked. We turn everything over to the FBI. Blackwood goes down for money laundering, conspiracy, and probably homicide. Linda goes down as an accomplice. The security team goes down for attack and homicide. When? I've got a meeting with the federal prosecutor tomorrow morning. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the woman I'd married 22 years ago, the young lawyer with big dreams and a bright smile. When had she become someone who could help criminals launder money? When had she become someone who could choose a homicider over her family? Maybe she'd always been that person, and I'd just been too blind to see it. At 6 a.m., my phone rang. It was Linda. Tom, we need to talk. No, we don't. Richard's been arrested. The FBI raided the firm this morning. I smiled. Danny worked fast. That's too bad. They're saying he ended his ex-wife. That's insane, Tom. Richard wouldn't hurt anyone. Tell that to Jake. This is all you're doing, isn't it? You couldn't handle losing me, so you made up lies. I didn't make up anything. Your boyfriend's a criminal and a homicideer, and based on what the FBI found, so are you. Silence on the other end. Tom, I can explain. 22 years, Linda. 22 years I loved you, supported you, believed in you, and you threw it all away for a man who ends people. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. You're a criminal. A cheating, lying criminal who chose money and excitement over her family. If you testify against me, I'm going to do more than testify. I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly who you really are. I hung up. An hour later, Jessica called. Dad, I just saw the news. Mr. Blackwood was arrested for homicide, among other things. And Mom, she's next. I can't believe this is real. Believe it. Dad, I'm sorry. I should have listened to you. Yes, you should have, but you chose to believe your mother's lies instead of your father's truth. I was confused. You were disloyal, just like your mother. That's not fair. Fair? I laughed. Jess, nothing about this situation is fair. But it's justice. The FBI arrested Linda 3 days later. I watched from across the street as they led her out of her temporary apartment in handcuffs. She looked smaller somehow, diminished. The confident lawyer was gone, replaced by a frightened woman facing federal charges. The local news picked up the story. Prominent attorney arrested in money laundering scheme. They used her law school graduation photo, the one where she looked young and idealistic. Mike called that afternoon. Tom, I owe you an apology. Yes, you do. We had no idea. You had no idea because you didn't want to know. It was easier to believe I was crazy than to accept that your friend Linda was a criminal. What can I do to make this right? Nothing. You made your choice. Come on, man. We've been friends for 20 years. We were friends, past tense. I hung up on him. Steve called an hour later with the same apology. Then Paul. Then half a dozen other people who'd chosen Linda's side without hearing mine. I didn't accept any of their apologies. Jessica came to see me that evening. She looked like she'd been crying for days. Dad, I'm so sorry. I know you are. Can you forgive me? I looked at my daughter, this beautiful young woman who'd inherited her mother's looks and apparently her mother's willingness to abandon family when things got difficult. I can forgive you, Jess, but I can't forget and I can't trust you. What does that mean? It means you're Linda's daughter, not mine. You made that choice when you chose her side. I was confused. You were disloyal. There's a difference. She started crying again. I don't want to lose you, too. You already lost me. The moment you chose to believe her lies over my truth, you lost me. That's not fair. Life isn't fair, but consequences are real. She left without another word. 2 weeks later, Richard Blackwood was found dead in his jail cell. The official report claimed he'd taken his own life, but Danny had his doubts. Guys like Blackwood don't usually end themselves, he said. They make deals. Maybe he knew there was no deal good enough. Maybe. Or maybe someone wanted to make sure he couldn't talk. Linda pled guilty to money laundering and conspiracy charges. She got 8 years in federal prison. Her law license was revoked. Her assets were seized. She lost everything. Just like I'd lost everything when I found her in bed with Richard Blackwood. The difference was, I'd rebuilt my life. She never would. #. Epilogue. 6 months later, I sold the house and moved to a small town 2 hours away. Started over with a new job, new friends, new routines. Jake transferred to a university closer to me. His leg healed, and he made the baseball team. Jessica tried to visit once. I didn't answer the door. Mike, Steve, and Paul all reached out multiple times. I blocked their numbers. Linda wrote me letters from prison. I returned them unopened. The truth is, I could have forgiven the affair. People make mistakes, marriages fail, hearts change. I could have even forgiven losing my friends. They were manipulated by someone they trusted. But I couldn't forgive the choice to destroy our son to protect their secret. I couldn't forgive 22 years of lies. And I couldn't forgive the willingness of everyone around me to believe I was the villain in my own story. Some things are unforgivable. Some betrayals are final. Some reckonings are complete. I kept one photo from my old life. A picture of Jake in his high school baseball uniform, smiling and young and innocent, before he learned that his mother was a criminal and his father's friends were cowards. Sometimes I look at that photo and remember what it felt like to believe in people, to trust that the ones you love will choose you when it matters. But mostly, I don't look back at all. The past is a country I'll never visit again, and I'm fine with that. Justice isn't always pretty, but it's always final. Richard Blackwood died in jail. Linda Blackwood lost everything she valued. The friends who betrayed me lost a friendship they'll never replace. The daughter who chose sides lost a father who would have died for her. I lost a family that was built on lies, but I gained something more valuable, the knowledge that I'm stronger than I thought, more resilient than I imagined, and capable of surviving betrayals that would destroy weaker men. In the end, that's worth more than all the false friendships and criminal wives in the world. I won. They lost.